you for joining us on The Experience. And today we're going to be talking about the Civil War. And you may be saying, well, Memorial Day weekend, the Civil War, I think as many of you know, and hopefully a lot of our younger people know as well, Memorial Day coming out of that bloody time period in our history, out of the Civil War and out of the way in which the South and the North both wanting to remember and having a special day in which we can remember those who gave their last full measure, who gave their all. Daniel, thank you for being with us. Maura, thank you for being with us as well. Daniel, the G.A.R. on which you serve as a trustee, Grand Army of the Republic. Tell me a little bit about that work here and about what the G.A.R., the organization that you belong to, does in the Worcester area.
Well, the G.A.R. it stands for the Grand Army of the Republic. And when the Civil War veterans came back to Worcester, very similar to the veterans of World War II came back and joined the American Legion and the VFWs. Well, they formed the G.A.R., which were all the veterans. And after the last ones died off, they gave the city of Worcester their hall, and with an agreement that it will be taken forever. And the city of Worcester then came up with a board of trustees, a 5-member board. And one of the criteria of the board is that 2 of the 5 members must have had a descendant that fought in the Civil War. I did not, but we're lucky to have 3 of our members that had relatives serve. Now, the G.A.R. Memorial Board of Trustees today oversees all the artifacts that were brought back by the veterans from the Civil War, and they were in the Memorial Hall, which is at 55 Pearl Street. And that, of course, was sold to Tanovo's restaurant, I believe, and has gone, since then, has changed hands several times.
Right. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful building.
Beautiful hall. If you've ever been in it, in the banquet area, there's plaques that go all around 3 sides of that, and they're all bronze plaques. And they're about, maybe 2 feet wide by 3 feet high. And they list all the Civil War veterans from the G.A.R. post.
The involvement of Worcester and the Worcester area in the Civil War, large number of volunteers?
Oh,
in this
tremendous,
area?
tremendous. They put forth about 5 regiments. The first regiment that left here was the 15th Massachusetts. They had 1,000 people from Worcester County that left in September of 1861. And after their 3-year term was up, only 35 of those 1,000 were mustered out at the time, while the rest were...
Isn't that incredible? I mean, it was, again, just such a bloody time in our nation's history. More talking about the 15th Massachusetts, so many, storied regiments, so many books being written about it, movies, the stuff of legend. And this is one reason that I'm so glad that the Worcester Public Library represented in this discussion, because people want to find out about that and about that piece of history. That's where you go. I believe we've got, are we displaying it? What are some of the books on the 15th here?
Just a few here. And we have shelves and shelves of books. And also in our genealogical, local history area, the Worcester Room, we have the listing of the Massachusetts regiments, the books, original documents there too, about the Civil War and the Civil War soldiers who came from Worcester, Massachusetts. So they can find information there too.
That's interesting. This sort of this local connection and this local history. Do you find that when people come in, Civil War probably, the most, World War II, I suppose, maybe the most written about, but Civil War, Lincoln, certainly the most written about president. People are just still so fascinated with that era of our history. Are they coming into the library? Are they mostly looking for that local connection, or just the war as a whole?
Oh no, they want the war as a whole. We have shelves and shelves of books, and there's books being published almost every day, every month on the Civil War. They're still being published 150 years later. So, and minute details that they go into about it and some of the broader aspects of it. And they're finding more things as they search too. So everybody's picking up a little bit about it and likes to write about it.
Well, I think, and here we are, of course, it's the 150th anniversary, and there are these remembrances going on all across the country in all 50 states, particularly down south. I've seen a number. One of the things that I continue to see that is fascinating, American Heritage just came out with this, as a matter of fact, in their last issue, in which they print, the letters from the people who were in the Civil War, and it's amazing how those letters could have been written by people today. It is a common experience of what these soldiers went through.
Right,
We may not have those letters, of course, because I don't know how they're going to collect all the emails that people are sending back and forth. But Daniel, you know, this common experience and the suffering that they went through, and when we had so many volunteers from this area, what do you think that the feeling was? I mean, why do you think that they decided that they wanted to go off and join it? This feeling of patriotism, of keeping the Union together, was slavery an issue that the people were thinking about here?
Well, slavery was an issue that Abraham Lincoln made so that they would have, the troops would have something to fight about. But I think the original premise of why so many people left was because we were not yet a country for 100 years. And the revolution was still very fresh in their minds.
Right.
And it was patriotism, I think, that really spurred these people on to go out and volunteer. And they were young boys from 16 to 50 of war that joined.
Yeah.
And every town put in hundreds of men, and they came and they fought. And I think definitely the patriotism was the bottom line that they.
For them. Now you're lecturing about this. You've been talking and doing talks,
Yes,
whether
yes,
it's at the library,
yep.
the Historical Society, or other places. What are some of the topics that you have picked and have been speaking about?
My board has in charge of 3 Confederate flags that were captured in New Bern, North Carolina, at the Battle of New Bern, which was March 14th, 1862. And 2 of the Worcester regiments, the 21st and the 25th, were involved in that battle. And these flags were brought back as trophies of war, and they were presented to the mayor of Worcester in a grand ceremony at Mechanics Hall way back when.
Yeah.
And the man that brought them back, Major McAvoy, asked that they be displayed in the public library so everybody could see what the men went through to capture these.
Right.
And my talk is pretty much on the Burnside expedition from the time it left Worcester to the time of the Battle of New Bern.
Wow. I want to hear more about that. Hang on to that, because we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about that and more. Of course, again, some of these fantastic books. We're going to show some different ones too. So, but I mean, some of these we have the photos of Gettysburg. We have books that talk from the South point of view and reasons for getting in the war in the North as well. And the library, of course, a great resource. Thank you for spending some of your Memorial Day with us. Much more on this conversation. And again, of course, Memorial Day coming out of the Civil War. And we'll be right back here on the Hank Stolz Experience.